Welcome a very special guest, familiar name, well known across Western Pennsylvania and Steeler Nation. It is your long snapper, Christian Kuntz, of course, also the host of the Christian Kuntz podcast. Christian, thanks for taking the time, man. How's it going? How's the offseason been so far?
Oh, what's up, guys? I appreciate it. No, thanks for having me. It's off-season's good. It's a bit different this year for me, I got a 7-month-old at home.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
The beginning. Thank you. In the beginning of training camp. So off-season's been a little bit different. I've been busier and more tired than I ever have been. This is hard.
Fatherhood or long snapping? What's harder? I think I know the answer. Yeah, no doubt.
I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, Christian. So I've been right there in the trenches with you. It's a lot of fun, but it is certainly exhausting. But we know you've got some really cool a cool kind of project that you're working on here. I'm sure most of our listeners, they're familiar. You already host. It's awesome, the Christian Kuntz podcast. But you're rolling out ahead of the NFL draft here, and obviously a huge historic moment for football in Western Pennsylvania with the draft coming to the North Shore of Pittsburgh in April. A kind of special series of your podcast highlighting the history, the legacy of football here in Western Pennsylvania. Tell us about it.
Yeah. I was. We're excited about it. We partnered with the Steelers, and we're doing like you said, a little draft special where we're going to highlight some of the best players to come out of Western PA. I just think this is such an overlooked part of the world for football talent. Everyone talks about Florida and Texas and California ball with the private schools, but right here in Western PA and Pittsburgh, produces some of the best players. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to, get some of them on and highlight their story and their journey, all the way from Pop Warner through high school, college, and then into the pros. So I'm excited about it. We've already, dropped one episode with Justin Watson, South Fayette legend, Penn grad, 3-time Super Bowl champ. It's really cool to be able to, get these guys' stories and get a chance to know them, a little bit outside of football and, how they grew up and what their purpose is and what their why is and why they're playing. So it's a cool opportunity. I'm excited about it.
That's super cool. I think there's, a lot to mine from that. And I was the recruiting assistant at Pitt for 3 years and watched all the high school tape and, watched guys like Revis come out of here. I mean, and it goes back so much further. Do you get deep into like the 70s and the steel mill days and all that?
Yeah, I mean, there's, I'm not going to reveal the list that I was provided.
Okay.
We're going to try to be getting on, but we did, we went back in time a little bit. Curtis Martin, I'll drop that one. Curtis Martin is a guest that we had on recently, and I'll tell you what, it's amazing to hear, some of their stories, and especially Curtis. I mean, he's an unbelievable dude, and what an unbelievable football player. So it's just so cool for me to be able to, do my research and then sit down and get to talk to these guys and hear their story. It's really cool.
Christian Kuntz with us here on The Drive. Christian, I wanted to just, bigger picture. Matt and I are both from here as well, too. Matt was a Lebo guy. I graduated from Mars. We both grew up in Western Pennsylvania and have lived most of our lives here other than, work taking us to different places for a few years. You obviously Chartiers Valley, Duquesne, now Pittsburgh Steelers. Just as a Western Pennsylvania guy, as a kid who grew up here, what's football mean to you? What is that sport and just mean to kids that grow up and play it in this region?
Yeah, I mean, I joke around and I say, I can't get out of here. I can't get out of this place, but I wouldn't want to be anywhere else because, Pittsburgh's just special. It's a special place, and football here is part of, who we are as people, I feel like, and all these guys that hopefully, people listen to the show and hear some of the guys that come on. Everyone's story and mine as well is kind of similar. It's a story of perseverance and some grit and, and that's kind of embodies what being a Pittsburgh kid is, and just toughness. Like when you go to other places around the league and you're on different teams and you meet guys and you ask where they're from, and some guys are from here, and then you hear a guy from Pittsburgh. I feel like everyone's perception of that guy is he's a tough player. He's gonna play tough. He's gonna play hard, and that's what I feel like Pittsburgh football is about, and that's what all these guys resemble that I'm gonna have on the show. So it's awesome. I love it. I love it.
That's awesome. You can tell. By no means am I a punting expert, but and I hope I'm not breaking news to you, but the Steelers just announced like 15 minutes ago that they are re-signing Cameron Johnston. So he's going to be in the mix. I assume he'll be at Latrobe. I had a blast watching this guy punt. I mean, what's your interactions with him? And the way I described him last segment was like, man, that guy's got like every club in his bag. Like every punt I've ever seen, he's able to execute.
Yeah, no, it's fresh news to me. Right before I ran upstairs to hop on the call. My wife said, "Oh, they signed Cam Johnston back."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fresh news to me. But both Cam and Corliss are two pro punters. I mean, regardless if they're here competing with each other, they're two of the best in the world, and they're going to have jobs. And sometimes guys can't control where they go. Teams kind of dictate that for us. So it would be good to have him back. He's a great dude, a great human being, an unbelievable punter, great holder too, and obviously Corliss is as well. So I'm excited to have both of them back. And those two love it. They're two pros, and they compete at the highest level. So it just elevates their game and makes them better as punters. So I'm sure it's going to be a fun training camp again.
So I've always wanted to ask a long snapper this question. It's the last thing I got for you, and please don't take it the wrong way, because what you do, I think, is unbelievably hard to execute. But I don't think
offense taken.
Yeah, but I don't think most kids grew up wanting to be a long snapper. Like when do you come to the conclusion in your career that, hey, I was a pretty good linebacker at Duquesne, but long snapping is my calling, that I can make a profession? Like I doubt all 32 of you that are currently employed when we're 6 years old said, boy, all I want to do is be a long snapper.
No, absolutely not. I did not want to be a long snapper. I never envisioned myself being a long snapper. Even, after college, I envisioned myself as a linebacker.
Yeah.
So I went to a couple teams, and, I moved a little bit differently than the guys that were moving at linebacker. So I made
You probably learned quickly, right?
Yeah. I realized quick.
This Patrick Queen guy moves a little different than I do. Yeah.
Exactly. So I was like, my chances are pretty slim here. I'm going to move to long snapping because they said I was decent at it, and that's kind of, I was probably 22, 23 years old.
Okay.
Been cut twice already at that point, cut 3 times, and that's when I went on a workout to Green Bay, and they were like, can't you snap a little bit? And I was like, sure. Got down, started snapping, and they were like, yeah, I think you should work on this for a couple more years and you'll be in the league. And that was the turning point.
Wow. I give you a lot of credit for reinventing yourself, though. And I'm sure that's true for all the long snappers out there.
Oh, yeah. They all, at some point in time, I know Casey Crater up in New York. I was with him in Denver when I was first coming out, and he was a school teacher for 2 years before he even got in. So a lot of long snappers journey and specialist journey.
Just go out to the field at recess and just start snapping, or after school or whatever, probably. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's when he got his work in. But yeah, it's all their stories. It's crazy. It's
That's cool.
That's fantastic, Christian. Thank you so much for the time. Before we let you go, I know you did have a chance to go to the Cayman Science Center and see the football town. Of course, the special NFL Films presentation on the history of football in this region. We've been kind of pumping that up for our listeners and Steeler Nation and telling them they got to get there. What can they expect for those whenever they finally get to see that cool film?
Oh man, it's definitely worth a watch. It was phenomenal. Just the scenery, and it just takes you back all the way. Like I said, youth football through Friday nights here in Pittsburgh are special, and it kind of highlights all of that embodied with Pitt and the Steelers on Sundays. It's a special film, especially if you're from Pittsburgh. You're going to really appreciate, the whole film, let alone the first 5 minutes when they start, putting all those faces, everyone from this region, their faces and their highlight commentary in the background. You get chills down your spine. So it's an unbelievable film. Everyone should go see it.
Great stuff. Christian Kuntz, Steelers long snapper, host of the Christian Kuntz podcast. Make sure everyone's checking out all the cool stuff that he has coming up here ahead of the NFL draft in just a little over a month in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Christian, thanks for the time, man, and enjoy the rest of the offseason and all the best in fatherhood.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
There he goes. Great stuff. Good conversation.